This might well be the best road bike you can buy in 2025 because we have a carbon aero optimized frame, full internal routing, but with a two-piece handlebar and stem, space for wide tyres, and it takes mudguards. It's ticking a lot of boxes. And normally I stand here and say it costs £10,000, but not today, because the bike here, with the aforementioned carbon frame, a Shimano Ultegra Di2 group set, retails for £3,500, and that seems a bit of a bargain to me. And to put that price in perspective, a Specialized Tarmac SL8 is £8,000, while even a Canyon Aero is £6,000. So a bit of a bargain, and does go back to pre-pandemic pricing. But it gets better. The range starts from £1,400 with Shimano Tiagra and goes up to £5,500 with the brand new top of the range, all singing, all dancing SRAM Red Accent group set. So loads to talk about. In this video I'll share my thoughts on riding the bike for the last few weeks, some likes and dislikes, and where it's a bike to actually buy and lives up to a promise. But first, let me give you a tour around the bike and point out some cool details. But what's really interesting about the new SLR, more than the fact that it's more aero than the old model, is that it's a race bike to all intents and purposes. The geometry, the stack and reach, and the aero optimized frame, but it has space for wide tyres up to 36, so more than the 32 that's standard on a TCR, a Tarmac, an aero, and many other race bikes right now. But then, as you can see, it takes mudguards. And there aren't many race bikes I can name that take mudguards. Off the top of my head, the MV Melee is the only one I can think of right now. And that frame set costs more than the entire bike here. And right now, if you do want a road bike that takes mudguards, the bike industry will sell you an endurance road bike, like the Giant Defy, the Specialized Roubaix, or the MV3, which are excellent bikes. And if you want comfort, that relaxed geometry, higher fit, and space wide tyres, they are great bikes. But if you're one of those very few people out there who wants a race bike that takes mudguards, well, here you go. And I'm not really sure how many people in this world want a race bike that can take mudguards. Let me know by dropping a comment down below if you're one of those few people. Now, personally, I love the idea. I like the way a race bike fits me and the way it rides, more engaging and more fun than an endurance road bike, with plenty of comfort from the 30mm wide tyres on this bike, running tubeless and nice low pressures. But the appeal of mudguards for riding through the winter, when it's raining, the roads are covered in mud and crap, and even now in the spring, it's lovely today as you can see, but the roads are still crappy in places. So a very sensible but very fast bike. Now, before we go for a spin and see how it performs, some more details on this new bike. Space for tyres up to 36 with no mudguards, or 32 with mudguards fitted. And these are Kinesis fender-off mudguards, but most mudguards on the market from SKS and others will fit. I've no doubt about that at all. SRAM UDH dropout, so future-proofed for new group sets on the market. Full internal routing, but with a two-piece handlebar stem, so you can change the stem length, handlebar width as you want, and the company will sell you a longer stem or a shorter stem for £48, so much cheaper than the carbon handlebars in this world right now. The bike is more aero than the old model, to the tune of 5.7 watts and tested in a Silverstone wind tunnel. I'll link to that down below if you care about that, if you're an aero geek and want to dive into the data on the new bike. They've also worked on the weight and compliance of the bike. We have a D-shaped seat post tuned to offer more aero and comfort as well, and a very neat two-position seat post with 0 or 15mm of offset to tune the bike fit for your requirements. And it also has a third bottle cage mount on the bottom of the down tube, so it's designed for long adventures, doing touring, road bike packing. You can fit an extra bottle down there or a tall keg if you want. And the down tube bottle position has two options, high and low. So time to find out how the bike rides. So join me in a moment out on the country lanes and see how it performs and handles. And that's why I've left the mudguards on. So a race bike that takes mudguards, a very unique combo indeed. But let's deal with the race bike bit first. I've been very impressed with how the bike rides. It does feel and ride and respond like a race bike. The fit on this size medium is pretty aggressive, and the stack and reach are very typical of a race bike and compares nicely to a 56cm Specialized tarmac as an example. Although the reach is a bit shorter, about 7mm shorter, which actually makes a lot of sense for a race bike that will largely be bought by people not actually racing. And it rides like a race bike. Very fast steering, very agile, nippy, highly responsive, plenty of stiffness on the frame when you're sprinting, climbing up hills, out of the saddle, and a bike that puts a smile on your face if you ride with any sort of gusto, shall we say. And then the comfort for a bike designed for being a 4-season fast, the comfort is pretty good. It comes with 13mm wide Goodyear tyres, a nice high quality tyre, and I've switched the lid tubes for tubeless. I'm running about 50-55 psi for my weight right now, or the bike and body weight of course. It does give a very smooth ride and it does compare well to other race bikes. On crappy road surfaces, most of the harshness is dealt with very well. But I would say it's definitely a slightly harder ride when you catch a crack in the road or a divot or a hole, a bit more of a thunk or thud through the contact points. It's not quite as supple as a higher-end race bike. But remember, this whole bike costs less than a frame set for an MV Melee or a Specialized Tarmac S-Works, so worth bearing that in mind. So really nitpicking here with the comfort. It's not uncomfortable, just not quite as silky smooth as some very good race bikes right now. But there is space for bigger tyres, ditch your mudguards, put a 35, 36 on there, and you could have a really nice all-road bike. A road bike primarily, but one that can handle a bit of off-road, light gravel and dirt. So a very, very nice bike indeed. Rides extremely well, it's clearly fast, great handling, decent comfort, but not the best, and takes wide tyres and mudguards if you want to mudguards. And right now, if you want a road bike with mudguards, you are looking mostly at an endurance road bike, like a Giant Defy. And an endurance road bike with bigger tyre clearance and more comfort is an interesting choice. For lots of people, it's an easy one. They want a race bike for the handling and sprightliness, but if you want more comfort and easier, more relaxed handling, the endurance road bike is the way to go. And a bike like a Giant Defy isn't a slouch at all. So it compares well to high-end race bikes, it compares well to endurance bikes. It's definitely a niche product. I'm not sure how big the market is for a race bike that takes mudguards, given mudguards are far from popular these days, which is a real shame. Which is why I don't ride with a club in the winter, because I get covered in muck from other people's wheels. It's bad enough getting covered in your own muck. But I do like the idea of a race bike that takes mudguards. I'm not sure if I'd choose it over an endurance road bike for that one bike for year-round riding, given the extra comfort and bigger tyres of an endurance road bike. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Boardman are really throwing a spanner into the works of choosing a road bike that takes mudguards right now. But if you don't like mudguards, ignore the mudguards. It's still a fantastic race bike, a great value race bike, and there's no reason to think this bike can hold you back against a far more expensive race bike rival. So it does ride very well indeed, and doesn't give much away at all compared to more popular or more expensive rivals. In terms of speed, handling, stiffness, it's definitely up there. The only area of the ride quality it definitely suffers is the compliance, the comfort isn't quite on the same level, but really nitpicking. Generally, it's a very smooth bike indeed. And there are some things I really like about the bike as well, such as the 2-position seat post with 0 or 15mm of offset in one seat post design, and very easy to adjust as well. And then the 2-piece handlebar stem so you can swap the handlebar stem to suit your fit requirements very easily. And if I bought the bike, I would see myself upgrading to a carbon handlebar at some point in the future and swapping the bar tape. This bar tape is okay, but it's a bit slippery and not as grippy as I prefer from bar tape. But perhaps the two big challenges with the bike, well, the first one, you can't buy it outside of the UK. So if you're watching in the US or Australia, sorry, you can't buy it, which is a shame. But perhaps more importantly is the brand value, the brand proposition, which is very subjective and personal, but I don't see Boardman as being a cool brand in the same way that Specialized, MV or Canyon are. Although, as an older guy, Chris Boardman is a legend of the British cycling scene and does have an appeal for me, but for younger viewers, younger cyclists, Chris Boardman probably doesn't resonate as much. So probably a bike you buy with your head based on the value for money proposition, rather than it being a cool, desirable brand you buy with your heart. But let me know your thoughts on that by leaving a comment down below. But ignoring that, it's a fantastic bike, a race bike with space and wide tyres and which takes mudguards, a very rare thing indeed. And a bike I really enjoy riding, and a bike I can happily recommend indeed if it's a bike that ticks the boxes you're looking for this year.